Hey, it's Clay at claytrader.com. This will be my top 10 stocks as we head into Thursday, March 13th. This will be a technical analysis breakdown. So if you are someone that uses charts within your trading, or maybe you're just interested in learning more about charts and how they can be used as a tool to help make good decisions as a trader, this will be a video for you. First off, a couple of clarifications. Number one, the candlestick that you see right there will be moving around and changing. That is because the market is still open for a small amount of time. But I like to do these videos when the market is still open because sometimes we can capture some really interesting late day price movement. Second, I'll be using the 30-minute time frame, meaning each one of these candlesticks here represents 30 minutes worth of time. So stock number one, we are taking a look at CRVO. And this one has had a very, very nice day today and now has itself a very solid pattern. And as I draw this pattern, please don't think I'm trying to impress you or trying to imply that this is some sort of secret discovery or a great talent. I assure you, a lot of people have seen both these trend lines and a lot of people are drawing something very, very similar to this, if not the exact same thing. And I say all that because when a lot of people are watching the same patterns and wondering the same thing, call it a self-fulfilling prophecy, call it whatever you want, it can produce some very dynamic movement. So as far as the pattern is concerned, let's keep it one color. So we have our area of resistance. We have our area of support. We have the big explosive move right there. And then for you golfers out there, try to make it a little bit more visual. If we put the golf hole down here, this is a bull pennant pattern. Now, just because something's in a bullish pattern does not mean for sure or guaranteed it's going to go upwards. But would it be shocking to anybody if the price consolidated out and then eventually got a break, and then that break right there created additional upside buying pressure? I don't think that would be shocking to anybody. So again, bull pattern is not guaranteed to break out. But again, if you were force me into a corner, I would probably vote in favor of the bulls right now. So it's really as straightforward as that. If you like this price range, you like bull pennant patterns, keep an eye on it. Next one here, STI, and a pretty wild day on this one when you just factor in kind of how everything played out. But at one time, the price had gapped and opened up there, came all the way down, and down around here, it becomes a very valid question to say, was this just a gap and trap pump and dump? And seemingly it is not, as the price did eventually level out there and has now started to work its way back upwards, which makes it very interesting because now we can ask the question, is this upwards movement going to continue? And maybe this thing is going to head up there and retest those highs. Again, no guarantees, but it becomes more plausible. Case in point, let's just say that the price was still just dropping. And I'm saying, hey, it's looking like this thing might want to revisit these highs. You'd be totally justified to say, wait, what are you talking about? The price is just going straight down right now. What are you talking about revisiting highs? So in that situation, it doesn't make a lot of sense. But given that the price leveled out and is now starting to work its way back upwards, again, not guaranteed, but makes a whole lot more sense to at least throw out there. So in terms of levels of resistance moving forward, first key level going to be right there at the 20.5 cent mark, so 0.205. And then in terms of areas of support, no need to overcomplicate this. Just ask yourself the question, where did the bleeding finally stop? And that bleeding was done down around the 16 cent mark. So keep an eye on that if that move does come back down. But yeah, all in all, if you like penny stocks and you like situations where maybe this thing's getting ready to revisit those highs, keep an eye on it. Next one here, TSLL, did this one in yesterday's video, and in that video talked about how that red line right there, the key area of resistance right around $8.40 was a very important level, and you can see that ultimately today the price gapped above that level and then stayed very, very nicely up above it. So the first update that comes into play just based on a foundational rule in charting, which states when levels of resistance are broken and closed above, you want to see them act as support. So moving forward in terms of what would make the chart look the best, definitely if the price can stay above 840. And I'm not saying this will occur, but if the price were to come down here and then break down below, what would that be doing to the price? That would quite literally be putting the price right back inside of that range where it just was. And I mean, not to insult your intelligence, but price movements that make nice moves and then go back to where they were, not exactly a sign of genuine power. Again, I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, just trying to explain why that $8.40 mark, in my opinion, is a very important area. In terms of levels of resistance, key level to watch now going to be that trend line right there, which you can see, just starting back there. It's, I think making a very well-defined area. But the price is very close to it, so that still doesn't guarantee it's going to break through it. But on the good news front, it's not like the price has to travel some great distance just to battle with it. As you can see there, a very little distance and then potentially a breakup through there. But all in all, very nice movement today, so we'll see if the bulls can build upon this momentum into Thursday. Next one here, NIO. Drew in this pattern here yesterday, but it was just an absolutely wild opening 30 minutes. So that was a pattern I drew in. The price actually gapped down below the pattern, came up to the pattern, got back inside of it, came to the top of the pattern, blasted up through it, and then the next 30 minutes basically gave back all those gains. So truly a wild ride this morning. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of those levels as they serve their purpose for now. But as the dust has settled, from the big picture standpoint, everything is still perfectly fine. An emphasis there on big picture, let me change that to green, As you can see here, the price seemingly has tried to build the bottom right there at the 505 mark. So from the big picture, if you just look at where the lows are, so we have a set of lows here, then we have lows here, then we have lows here, and we have lows down there. And if you envision each one of those as stair steps, again, emphasis on big picture. From the big picture point of view, what do we have? Well, you still have stair steps making progress in the upwards direction. Now, I do understand that if you're some sort of day trader, flipper, scalper, whatever you want to call yourself, and you bought up there and your plan was to buy and sell within, 3 seconds, from that standpoint, yeah, the chart's not looking so good. But assuming you do care about the bigger picture point of view, even with the pullback today, the price does still have plenty of opportunities to build that higher base. In terms of levels of resistance, really no need to overcomplicate it. The party stopped today during that craziness right up there at about $5.50. So keep an eye on that. But again, assuming you do care about the grand scheme of things, the price is putting in those higher highs and higher lows, and that's what trend building is all about. Next one here, NVDA, and this will mean a little bit more to those of you that have watched past videos, but you know that we've been tracking this big old falling wedge for quite a while. You can see the resistance and then support part of it. Yesterday got a bit of a breakout, potentially a false breakout, but today got confirmation. So a beautiful back test of the breakout point. I mean, you could throw that right into a textbook where breakouts happen, and oftentimes there can be back tests. So overall, the falling wedge has been broken. So very, very nice move in and of itself there. And now as we zoom in here, we have ourselves another pattern. Maybe you know where I'm headed with this because it's not the first time you're going to see this pattern. So we have our area of resistance right there. We have an area of support down there, green for support. And then just to make it easier to see, let's keep it one color. So we have our resistance, we have our support, we have the nice upwards move right there. And again, for you golfers out there, put the golf hole down here. We have ourselves another bull pennant pattern. And when you have well-defined patterns on very, very popular stocks like NVIDIA, again, that doesn't guarantee anything, but it does make it more than plausible to think that if the price is able to come up here and get a break up through that level, that break in and of itself could very well create additional buying pressure. So again, very popular stock, very well-defined pattern here. Is that going to lead to a self-fulfilling prophecy breakout? Let's see what happens. So grab your popcorn for Thursday. Real quick, want to take a break and personally invite you to get signed up for this free live online webinar. So if you've been enjoying what you've seen and you want to learn more about this tool, how it can and should be used to build consistency and manage risks, then definitely get signed up for the free live class. If you're watching on YouTube, there's a link down in the description box you can click on, or if you're watching right at my website, there's an area on the webpage that you can use to get signed up. So like I said, if you've been enjoying, then definitely get signed up for the free live class. Next one here, looking at TSLA Tesla, and nice day on this one. We already saw this pattern somewhat because TSLL is just a mirror image of this one, except that one moves quicker because it's a leveraged ETF. But nonetheless, still want to go over Tesla itself. And going back to the whole idea of very well-defined areas on very popular stocks, Tesla, very popular stock, and you got to think all sorts of people have watched that trend line right there. So as I've said, that doesn't guarantee anything, but it doesn't make it plausible, doesn't make it valid to think that if the price were to curl up here, get to that level, and then break up through there, that break in and of itself could create additional buying pressure. That is not a guaranteed conclusion, but certainly a more than plausible one. So just on that alone, very well-defined trend line, very popular stock, I think is worth at least keep an eye on from the breakout standpoint and seeing if the price can indeed get up there and push through there. If there is any sort of pullback, then an interesting level from a support standpoint. Can change that to green. Right down here around this previous breakout area around the 236. Let's just call it 237. I was going to say 236.90, but we'll just go up 10 cents and call it. Round it up to 237, give or take. That was his former area of resistance. So again, as the rule states, when levels of resistance are broken, you ideally want to see them act as support. So we'll see what happens with it, but definitely a good day here for Tesla. Next one here, we're looking at MSTU, and this will mean a little bit more to those of you that watched the previous videos. But if you did, hopefully remember me putting that red line into place there as resistance. And unlike a lot of these other stocks today that were able to push up through those key areas of resistance, not so with MSTU. It tried on several occasions. Right there, failed attempt. Right there, failed attempt. And then you had the double whammy of resistance. So the first whammy is just that red line, yes. But then the second whammy is that purple line there, 50-period moving average, which again, keyword being moving. So that line moved itself downwards. And then you can see right around this area, whoops, that was supposed to be a circle. Let's try that again. But right around this area right here, you can see both the purple line and red line right there. And then, yeah, the price has not been able to push through there. Now, that's not to say that the price can never, ever get up above that area. I'm just saying it makes sense why the price is currently struggling around this area of the chart. And that if there is going to be any sort of bigger move to the upside, that'll definitely be the key battleground. Now, on the flip side of things, and to give credit where credit's due, in terms of lows, we have a low there, a low there, a low there, and now we have some lows up here. So these lows do keep getting higher and higher, which is a good thing in and of itself. But yeah, still more work that needs to be done. So I think that is going to be just the big question mark headed into Thursday is, can the price get enough strength to push up through the double whammy of resistance right there? So we'll see what happens. Next one here, SMCI, and very, very nice move today. Got up above this area of resistance, and the power of charts, when levels of resistance, as I mentioned, they tend to act as support. And I mean, check this out. You could throw this right into a textbook. Is it perfect? No, not perfect. But I mean, look at how the price came above it, and then when it pulled back, look right where, again, generally speaking, the price found support right around that green line, give or take a few cents in either direction. So on that note, that's exactly how you would want to see that former area of resistance now behave, and that is how it is indeed behaving. So I'm going to get rid of that. So keep that in mind, because now we have a much cleaner pattern. So going back to the whole idea, SMCI, I'd say at this point in time, a pretty popular stock out there, and now we have a nicely well-defined pattern here on it. So change that to green, and just because I can't help myself, let's keep it one color to make sure everybody can see it. So we have resistance, we have support, we have the big move up right there, and then we have our golf hole down here. So we have ourselves, yes, another bull pennant pattern. So I'm not going to go any further. You've already heard me talk about the bull pennant, but once again, if you do like bull pennants, you have quite the variety to choose from. Next one here, taking a look at PLTR, and like a lot of these other ones, very nice day going into the day. The price was down in this channel here with that former area of resistance, but it's now cleared that very nicely. So on that note, I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of all those lines on there as they serve their purpose for now, and we'll kind of start afresh. What I'm curious about, though, moving forward is just this trend line right here. So we'll see if this comes into play again. I mean, not necessarily even this week, but sometime down the line. I think that trend line could, potentially have some significance. But really, in the nearer term right now, as far as supports, you now want to see this purple line hold strong. 50-period moving average, you can actually see a perfect example of that right there. Price came down, bounced beautifully off it right there before then, heading back upwards. So ideally, moving forward, you want to see the price stay above that purple line. But with that being said, if the price were to fall below the purple line, not the end of the world, because again, you would still have the opportunity to stay above the overarching trend line right there. In terms of areas of resistance, looking like the key battleground right now, going to be right up there. I don't think it hit it today. Nope, not quite, but right around $85.15 will be that battleground, and that was a high from a few days ago back here. I suppose you could consider this a little miniature area of resistance right there. But in my opinion, the key level of resistance is going to be right up there at about 85.15. But all in all, very nice day here for PLTR. Next one here, taking a look at SOXL. And once again, I'm going to go through this very quickly. In fact, I'm just going to use the lines here. We have ourselves a bull pennant pattern. So we have our area of resistance right there. We have the support right there. We have the upwards move right here. And we have the golf hole down here. So yes, another bull pennant pattern. Now, I wouldn't say this is as strong as some of the other ones, because it is still technically occurring in a downwards market. And you can see that via the downward slope of that purple line there, 50-period moving average. But nonetheless, it is still an area of, or it is still a bullish pattern. It is still a bull pennant pattern. There we go. But like I said, I wouldn't have as much confidence as some of these other ones that are occurring in overall uptrends. But it is still that pattern nonetheless. So, but to be fair, sometimes these are the most explosive, because if this thing is indeed starting to come off the bottom, well then, when you get those movements that come off bottoms after getting beat down, those movements can be that much more. But it is also difficult to come off the bottom. So there's always give and take. But if it can, eventually get some momentum, then this whole pattern here might be the leading indicator of that event. But once again, as I mentioned earlier, if you like bull pennant patterns, you have quite the variety. So that wraps up the top 10 list. Again, if you like what you saw here and you want to learn more about the tool, then definitely get signed up for the free live class. Like I said, it'll be very soon, Thursday, March 13th at 8 p.m. Eastern time. So I hope to see you there. As far as these top 10 videos are concerned, if you enjoy these, then as always, please hit that like button. And if you're looking for a super free and easy way to support the channel, please consider hitting that subscribe button, as it really does help out. So thanks for watching. Take care.